Hey guys! So today we're just going to be talking about isosceles triangles. We're going to hold off on equilateral until tomorrow. So just for the isosceles triangles, we have a few theorems to go over and just a few practice questions. Now with an isosceles triangle, remember earlier in the unit we talked about isosceles being a way to classify a triangle by its sides, okay? So this is going to help you with getting the sides and the angles tied together. So with our isosceles triangle theorem, we're told if two sides of a triangle are congruent, then the angles opposite of those sides are also congruent, right? So what that looks like, if we're told side AC and BC are congruent, then by the isosceles triangle theorem, angles 1 and 2 also have to be congruent, okay? Think of a little like arrow pointing towards those. Since my sides are equal, then my angles are equal as well. Okay, the converse of the isosceles triangle theorem is starting by looking at the angles. So with the converse, we're told if two angles of a triangle are congruent, then the sides opposite of the angles are congruent. Okay, so if angle 1 is congruent to angle 2, then by our converse of this theorem, we know that side FE has to be congruent to side DE, okay? So looking at that in like this first example, all right, find the missing measure, okay? So I am given a triangle, all right, PMN, okay? I have one side here, no side here, and then a measurement in the middle, all right? Knowing what I know about my isosceles triangles, that converse we just talked about, I have two congruent angles, okay, P and M, okay? Since I have two congruent angles, then I know my sides have to be congruent, okay? So we're going to start with letter B, because if I know that PN is congruent to MN, right, and I know MN is 11 centimeters, then by my isosceles theorem, PN also has to be 11 centimeters, okay? 11 centimeters, right? And then as far as finding the measure of angle M, this angle right here, okay, I have two angles that are congruent, okay? This angle right here, N, is 120 degrees. I know that there is a total, so a triangle has 180 degrees, right? So I want to say, okay, I'm starting with 180 degrees. I know that my one angle is using up 120 degrees. Okay, so that leaves me with 60 degrees left for two angles. Okay, so 60 for angle P and angle M. Okay, but I want to find out what just M is. So two angles, we'll just say 2x equals 60 degrees. Okay, so we divide by 2, and then that gives us a total of 30. So I know measure M has to be 30 degrees, because if M is congruent to P, then we could say that 30 plus 30 is 60, plus 120 is 180, okay? All right, so moving on to just two more examples. These are going to be the only notes we have for today, short and simple. All right, so find the value of x. Well, I can tell right here I have an isosceles triangle, all right, I have two congruent sides. Knowing what I know about isosceles triangles, if I have two congruent sides, then my angles also have to be congruent. So we can say this angle here is equal to this angle here. Okay? If I know that this first angle is 72, my second angle also has to be 72, and then now I just need to solve for x, right? I can say that 72 plus 72 is 144, right? So that's 144 degrees being used right here, and an entire triangle has 180, okay? So if I subtract I can say x plus 144 is equal to 180. All right, and the reason I did that, x plus these two added together. We just added these together, okay? So now we just have to solve for x. Right? So I subtract 144 from each side, and that leaves me with x having a measurement of 36 degrees. Okay? So again, just take the information that you're given and put the other pieces together to solve. Okay? And our last example, all right, so we are given an angle measurement here, an angle measurement here, and we're told we have two congruent sides. All right, so this is going to have a few steps, but we can do it because we can tell this is an isosceles triangle. All right, make notes right here of what we know. All right, so isosceles triangles have two congruent sides, two congruent angles, right? And then a triangle has 180 degrees. Okay, so this is kind of my thought process. This is where I'm starting. So I know that these congruent sides, the angles opposite are going to be congruent as well. Okay, so we'll say this angle is congruent to this angle. And then adding these two with this angle will give me 180 degrees. So moving forward with that information, I'm going to label my triangle. So I'm going to say angle A, angle B, and angle C. Okay, so I know A plus B plus C is going to be 180. Okay, I know that A and B are congruent. Okay, so I can actually multiply these together. All right, and what I'm going to do with that, I'm just going to say 2A. Okay, because again, B is congruent to A. So we can say 2 of our A's, A and then the congruent angle, plus C is equal to 180. Right? So now we just plug in and substitute. I can say 2 times my A measurement of 2x plus 12 plus my measurement of 5x plus 3 equals 180 degrees because again, we're solving for this x variable. All right? Now we just need to simplify. All right, so I have distribution that I need to do because I have some parentheses. So we have 4x plus 24 plus 5x plus 3. All right, I'm just adding these together, these angles, to get that missing x. Now I just combine like terms, so we have 9x plus 27 equals 180. When we subtract 27 from both sides, we are left with 9x equals, let's see, so 153. Okay, and then when we divide 153 by 9, we are left with x equals 17. Okay, so for this triangle, x is going to be equal to 17. Now, if we were to plug in 17 for x, we would be able to find each specific angle measurement. Okay. So again, we are just going over the isosceles triangles today. Remember, two congruent sides equals two congruent angles, and two congruent angles means two congruent sides. So if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.